Myra Maybelle Shirley Reed Starr, better known as Belle Star, was an American outlaw who gained national notoriety after her violent death. She was popularized by Richard K. Fox, editor and publisher of the National Police Gazette, and she later became a popular character in television and films. Belle Star was born Myra Maybelle Shirley on her father's farm near Carthage, Missouri, on February 5, 1848. Most of her family members called her May. Her father, John Shirley, prospered raising wheat, corn, hogs, and horses, though he was considered to be the black sheep of a well-to-do Virginia family which had moved to Indiana, where he married and divorced twice. Her mother, Eliza Hatfield Shirley, was John Shirley's third wife and a distant relative to the Hatfields of the famous family feud. In the 1860s, Belle's father sold the farm and moved the family to Carthage, where he bought a livery stable and blacksmith shop in the town square. May Shirley received a classical education and learned piano while graduating from Missouri's Carthage Female Academy, a private institution that her father had helped to found. After a Union attack on Carthage in 1864, the Shirleys moved to Syene, Texas. According to legend, it was at Syene that the Shirleys became associated with a number of Missouri-born criminals, including Jesse James and the Younger brothers. In fact, she knew the Younger and the James boys because she had grown up with them in Missouri. Her brother, John A.M. Bud Shirley, was called Captain Shirley by local Confederate sympathizers. He does not appear on any list of Quantrill's raiders but rides with a group called Partisans by some and Bushwhackers by Union sympathizers. Bud Shirley was killed in 1864 in Sarcoxie, Missouri, while he and another scout were eating at the home of a Confederate sympathizer. Union troops surrounded the house, and when Bud attempted to escape, he was shot and killed. Following the war, the Reed family also moved to Syene, and May Shirley married Jim Reed in 1866, after having a crush on him as a teen. 2 years later, she gave birth to her first child, Rosie Lee. Belle harbored a strong sense of style, which fed into her later legend. A crack shot, she used to ride side saddle while dressed in a black velvet riding habit and a plumed hat, carrying 2 pistols, with cartridge belts across her hops. Reed turned to crime and was wanted for murder in Arkansas, which caused the family to move to California, where their second child, James Edwin, was born in 1871. Later returning to Texas, Reed was involved with several criminal gangs. While initially trying his hand at farming, he would grow restless and fell in with bad company. The Starr clan, a Cherokee Indian family notorious for whiskey, cattle, and horse thievery in the Indian Territory, as well as his wife's old friends the James and Younger gangs. On April 1874, despite a lack of evidence, a warrant was issued for her arrest for a stagecoach robbery by her husband and others. Reed was killed in August of that year in Paris, Texas, where he had settled down with his family. Allegedly, Belle was briefly married for 3 weeks to Charles Younger, uncle of Cole Younger, in 1878. But this is not sustained by any evidence. There are numerous claims that Belle's daughter Pearl Reed was actually Pearl Younger, but in Cole Younger's autobiography, he discounted that as rubbish and stated what he knew truly of Belle. In 1880, she married a Cherokee man named Sam Starr and settled with the Starr family in the Indian Territory. There, she learned ways of organizing, planning, and fencing for the rustlers, horse thieves, and bootleggers, as well as harboring them from the law. Belle's illegal enterprises proved enough for her to employ bribery to free her colleagues from the law whenever they were caught. In 1883, Belle and Sam were arrested by Bass Reeves, charged with horse theft, and tried before the hanging Judge Isaac Parker in Fort Smith, Arkansas. The prosecutor was United States Attorney W.H.H. Clayton. She was found guilty and served 9 months at the Detroit House of Corrections in Detroit, Michigan. Belle proved to be a model prisoner, and during her time in jail, she won the respect of the prison matron. In contrast, Sam was incorrigible and assigned to hard labor. In 1886, she eluded conviction on another theft charge, but on December 17th, Sam Starr was involved in a gunfight with his cousin law officer Frank West. Both men were killed, and Belle's life as an outlaw queen, and what had been the happiest relationship of her life, abruptly ended with her husband's death. By her marriage to Sam Starr, she was an aunt to Henry Starr. For the last 2 years of her life, gossip and scandal sheets linked her to a series of men with colorful names, including Jack Spaniard, Jim French, and Blue Duck, after which, in order to keep her residence on Indian land, she married a relative of Sam Starr, Jim Starr. who was some 15 years younger than she was. On February 3, 1889, 2 days before her 41st birthday, she was killed. She was riding home from a neighbor's house in Eufaula, Oklahoma, when she was ambushed. After she fell off her horse, she was shot again to make sure she was dead. His death resulted from shotgun wounds to the back and neck and in the shoulder and face. Legend says she was shot with her own double-barrel shotgun. According to Frank Pistol Pete Eaton, her death was due to different circumstances. She had been attending a dance. Frank Eaton had been the last person to dance with Belle Star when Edgar Watson, clearly intoxicated, asked to dance with her. When Belle declined, he later followed her. When she stopped to give her horse a drink at a creek on the way home, he shot and killed her. According to Frank Eaton, Watson was tried, convicted, and executed by hanging for the murder. However, another story says that there were no witnesses and that no one ever was convicted of the murder. Suspects that were apparent motives included her new husband and both of her children, as well as Edgar J. Watson, one of the sharecroppers, because he was afraid she was going to turn him into the authorities as an escaped murderer from Florida with a price on his head. Watson, who was killed in 1910, was tried for her murder but was acquitted, and the ambush entered Western lore as unsolved.